Hello. Today I'm gonna go over the tank called STRV 103B, a Swedish tier 10 tank destroyer, which looks like a cheese wedge, and I don't know what else the people have been calling this tank, but it's a fun little tank destroyer. It has this very quick, fast-firing type of gun with excellent pen and excellent accuracy. So it's good in long range, it's good in close-up, and it has somewhat of an armor. I think tanks with 122 caliber or just above 120 millimeter caliber overmatch your front, so it basically becomes out the pen for them almost. They can bounce and they can do air damage shots. You have a heat grill in the front of your tank which can withstand a few heat shells, but primarily heat is your #1 enemy and very large caliber guns. Well, anything above 120 millimeter of caliber. This tank is all about the snipe, but there is a nifty little thing as well. It's very small, so it's a very good camo. And since you have this fast fire rate, you can hold your ground quite often with it. And you do set up yourself in a snipe, because you have this siege mode, where you have to siege up. You can shoot without siege mode, but your gun is mounted stationary on your tank. So your tank has to move for your gun to move around on the battlefield. And that gives you a little bit of problems, because you can't just rush up and shoot and go back quickly. You always need to rush up, siege up, takes you 2 seconds, give or take. And then you can start shooting, and then you hit the unsiege to run away quickly. And that is the encumbersome with this tank, so it's a very defensive orientated tank. But you do have that aggressive power that you can kick in with, which allows you sometimes to play this close hold down or kind of this mid distance as I'm playing right now here, sniping the other people pushing here. I'm getting blinded. Let's see, can we hit dice 7? There we can. This gun is so beautiful. It just rifles through. But the regular APCR, you have 308 pen with 1500 shell velocity, so your regular APCR is really good already. That is like fine. Like you don't need the red APCR or the better APCR. And we are getting pushed back here. We are the sole defender at the moment. We need to bolt. We need to run here. We need to get distance. We have a 268 kind of covering us. But the red APCR, you have 350 pen, which is really good for a APCR shell. But you have slower than the standard shell. You have 1450 shell velocity. I'm using that building to cover my approach back to base, and that way I don't take any hit. So you have a slower shells but more pen than you have the regular ones. I like to roll just 50-50 with it. Often you don't really need a 350 heat, 350 APCR pen. And so often do I say 350 heat. But you also have the HE, which is, a lot of people will say, oh, it's not useful at all on the story. And I want to beg to differ. I had few instances where the shell, you have 53 pen and 680 shell velocity. So it's very slow. But here's the thing, you can lob the shells. So sometimes when the target is kind of far away, your shell goes very high up and then lands on the target. And that way you can sometimes knock out someone with very low hit point that you could not touch with an APCR. And the damage that you do, the alpha damage, I completely forgot to talk about. It's 390. This is a bang on average. I think it actually isn't below average these days in tier 10. I think this 400 is bang on average. I don't know. I haven't checked them average spreadsheet. And the standard dispersion is 0.29. The aim time without siege mode, it's almost 3 seconds. It's 2.94 aim time. But in siege mode, it's like less than a second almost. It's almost like a second of aim time. You can like you see here, you can actually snapshot with this tank. That's how freakishly good this tank is. When it comes to its power, its shell, it boxed this 140 away so it doesn't get close to me. Oh we are greedy, we want to get another shot in. Oh, okay, we boxed him away. And ouch, we took a hit from the 430U. That was not good. The rough reload, you get down to below 6 seconds with this tank. A standard reload is 6.7, but roughly you're around 5.1 to 5.7. I think is the rough range with the STRV that you meet on the battlefield, depending on the setup and the equipment it has. The another neat thing about this tank, you already saw it as I was running away, is that you have top speed of 50 forward, but also top speed of 45 reverse. So it's kind of easy to just ditch out of it. You don't have to always turn around the tank to run away. So in that case, it's kind of nice. You have a lot of horsepower per ton as well, so you get quickly up to speed with this tank. Oh, that's a gorilla. We do not want to fight that gorilla. As you can see, I'm terrified of it. He pens me very easily. You want to fight these mediums and oh, look at that, an EBR. Unknowingly peeks up. And we try to look here a little bit, see if we find one forter. But we found an artillery instead. Oh, that's bad, that's bad. And again, he founds us. He blinds that, actually. For some reason. He's bad, man. But we try to get away from here, see if we can get a sniping avenue from, from like A5 or something. And we're stunned, and the gorilla is too quick. And yeah, he takes us. This is the kind of a game, I would say, you sometimes have with this STRV, where you need to find this small aggression. You can't just sit back and snipe and have a good jolly time, like you kind of want to do with a tank. Sometimes you get into this nitty-gritty close-up fights, and you need to utilize the tank that you can. But let's hop over to a more standardish game with an STRV. And here we are in the next game. And here we're gonna do a little bit more sniping. It's not full tier 10, but it's a fine matchmaking. We should be kind of good. It's a very defense-orientated map, Lakeville, in its essence. The armor I forgot to talk about in the last segment, which will be more useful in that than we will have here. You have 40 front and 30 side. Oh, we have a KPZ we spot. We wait for the tree and the bushes to maybe not be spotted when we fire. Fortunately, we still got spotted. But hey, we took him out, we waited to the very last moment, and then we got away with it. And the armor is very steep angle. Like I said, only tanks with a bigger than 120 millimeter of caliber guns pens you easily. And also heat. Heat is a kind of a bane of doom with this tank. The view range is 360 base, so it can be a little bit of struggle to get full view range. You really need to have a kick up with the crew. You need to have like, I think it's 3 skilled crew, I would say. You kind of must have on this tank the full view range without using the binoculars. And I am not using binoculars here. I'm using a very standard equipment that I really like on this tank. There is other ways you can set it up, obviously. Oh, another thing, the camo on this tank is very good. The base cam is 23.3. I think you can pump this tank to 50 or more almost, depending on how you wanna set it up, obviously. But with already this great camo, I don't know if you really need to pump it up even higher. We're pretty much sniping throughout this game. This game it's just sniping, I would say. But it involves a lot of movement as well. We have around 50 shells in this tank. We're basically waiting here to see how it's gonna develop in the town. I see there's an E75, ES703 and a Scorpion frontline versus a 777. Backshots appears now, so I'm kinda guessing my 121B is coming in now. I'm kinda guessing we are gonna be having a bad time in the town. It's a struggle to speak English. We're just trying to set ourselves up. Oh, what I really like about this tank is when you put a turbo on it and then you already have a supercharged engine. So this turbo spin up is even louder than normal. Ah, unfortunately missed that one. But now we should have him. He's perma-track. Just need to keep hitting. Oh, no, no, no. We didn't re-track him there or damage his track again. And the gun depression and gun elevation, it says a little bit funny on the sides and in-game, because you have -1 and +1 gun depression. It's because the gun is actually mounted on your hull. So you have no gun movement whatsoever. But I think, if I remember correctly, the gun depression is -15 and the gun elevation is +15. I think that is, or it could be 10. No, it's probably 15. But anyway, we are losing the town. There's nothing more for us to spot. We need to get back. And I'm thinking, should I go back behind the base to get the sniping shots? Should I stay more frontally so I can do the spotting and potentially some sniping as well? I see my 57 being low. There's a small little Indian panzer here. He won't stand too much chance. I'll knock down the tree to create a little bit larger bush for me. And I thought if I take this position, I both can snipe and I can retreat back as well. Did we have anyone awake? Yep, the projector was awake, but he spotted himself. We didn't get full spotting there. This tank I have played throughout my time in both Pro League and also during streams. I obviously have 3 marked it. And it's quite a fun tank to play. It can be very annoying to play against, because you know when you're fighting this thing, it's gonna shoot you so many times. Depending on what tank you are and what situation you're in. But it's also a tank that I talked a little bit about. It's a bit defensive oriented tank, but that shouldn't give you up too much hope on not trying to be aggressive with it, because like I've showcased here a little bit, this is a little bit of an aggressive position. And the dirt is taking the beating here. And now we hit his armor, unfortunately. The Scorpion hit, but we still have this shot on the Kranvagn, and I'm not giving up on this. Alright, Dirt, this is the last time. Thank you. Thank you for not being in the way, Dirt. But it was a kind of small hard shots as well. I'm gonna try and maintain this position. We are actually gonna be moving up. In the sense that the middle might be wide open. They still have a tug of war in the 2-line, like obviously. Like always, almost, I would say. It's very, very rare you get this push through left, right and center. Going through there. This bush is probably one of the most easiest bush to figure out where someone's sitting at. It's very easy to blind it as well, depending on from where you come. It could be a little bit harder to blind it from the middle, but I usually always try to blind this bush when I know there's a static gameplay going on. When there's not much movement, but everyone is just waiting. Usually I try to blind the regular bushes. Oh, there I see the 268. Am I just in position? I don't think so. M103, we're looking for him instead. Are we looking at both targets at the same time? This is one of the few tanks where actually clutch braking and off-road driving helps you turn and localize targets quicker than many other tanks. Yeah, it helps with other tank stories, but this tank, it really helps your gun horizontal movement, not vertical movement. But we're gonna go into depth when we get to the garage. Oh my, there was a T95 that snuck up there as well. We're gonna talk more about the tank in depth when we get to the shot. T95, okay, we got in the shot on him anyway. Talk about the tank more in the garage section. So we are a little bit wary about our left side, but we're gonna try use this rock and kind of disposition myself a little bit. There we go, now looking, there's the cupola. Start aiming for the backside. The target ran away from me, that quickly moving T95. Now we try to just get a track on him. He's pointing frontally towards us. Maybe we hit the cupola. Confirmed we hit the cupola. Oh, T95, you do have the armor, but we do have the firepower and the penetration to deal with you. And the accuracy, eventually. But as you can see, every time I shoot, I look out. Look out of the tank, go in and out, and always use the double vision. I see the... It's very hard to hit them. We actually prime up an HE, and so did the Indian Panzer. And it did zero. And it did zero damage, unfortunately. Alright, can we finish him? Nope. This is where the gun is not helping whatsoever. Nope. Kinda hard for him to blind. He needs to blind exactly at the rock, but he probably... I thought I would kill them there. At T95, he built some extra armor after that. After our last pen on him. And now we have a freebie game here where we can go in and just clean up everything else. We're gonna see where we can end up, if we can get a little bit more damage here. We've done roughly 4.5. Yeah, 4.5, 4.8 I think. Hasn't been the most typical STRV games as well, where you sometimes just sit in base and just go pew 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 and pew 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 pew. This is a tank which rewards you for being semi-aggressive and being this mid-range aggressive. It's big down. And now we have 2 tanks left only. And that's where you play that balance with that tank. It's where you're gonna strike through with this one. That's when you really accelerate. So here we're gonna set up so we can shoot both, so we don't have to siege up here and shoot Scorpion on siege and siege up again. It's a neat little thing. Scorpion didn't realize right away we were behind him. That's why we allowed us to do this play. But this allows us to just rain down hell upon our enemies. And there we have it. A little carry in the STRV 103B. Let's hop over to the garage and talk about the tank more in detail. So let's go over the tank in the garage. We have the crew, the equipment, shells, consumables, and field modification. To start off with the crew, it's pretty much straightforward. It's Brauden's 6 Sense, Recon, then Concealment, and lastly, Repair. So 5 skill crew, I think that's almost a minimum you must have this time. And I just barely have it. You just start on the 6th skill. The driver, Brothers in Arms. Here I would probably pick Concealment first, then Repair, and then Clutch Braking, and lastly, Road Driving. Like I talked about a little bit during the gameplay, clutch braking and off-road driving helps you turn the tank quicker, left and right, and that way you can localize your targets and find them quicker. So you can, shoot more different targets on the battlefield because you're shooting so quickly with this tank. For the radio operator, it's a 3-man crew, so it's kind of a tight crew, I would say. It's Brown's situational awareness to get the full view range. Then Concealment. I would probably pick Repair. I probably had Safe Stowage there just because I was leveling up Repair. But I would pick Repair, and then lastly, I'll pick Safe Stowage. I would maybe retrain to get Safe Stowage, because sometimes the ammo rack gets popped on this tank, so it's good to have. And no, this is one of the few tanks in the game where I don't actually recommend Intuition. Because if I remember correctly, you need to have the... No, it's not the commander. Is the driver then? No. It's... Oh, wow. Crews are like all over the place in the tank. It's the radio operator that have Intuition. Oi, oi, oi. Oi, oi, oi. But yeah, the driver is the gunner as well. You don't need snapshot. You maybe could argue kinda can pick a smooth ride. Lastly, it's only when you creep up straightforward, but I feel it's almost a waste of a skill. I'd rather have firefighting just because it has ridiculous aim time when it comes into the siege mode. It doesn't show here, but it doesn't really need it. But the equipment, I would say this is the most basic standard equipment that you're gonna use, and it's universally super good. You can have it on any map. You're just gonna have the rammer, optics, and turbo. Turbo helps you in the siege mode to go a little bit quicker around the place as well. Both reverse is a blessing when it comes to it. Blessing. Can we see it? No, you don't see the siege mode stuff here actually. I completely forgot that. But if I would pick this up a little bit different, you could skip out the turbo and actually put the low noise exhaust. You can use the camouflage net as well. It is good on this tank, don't get me wrong, but I like to have this constant effect instead of having effect when I'm just standing still. It does help you. It is a really good thing to have. I usually had a way back I had camo and binos, in the sense that I would always stand still with the tank, shoot, and have this insane view range. But I'm using a lot of double bushing, so that's when this low noise exhaust system is gonna kick in big time for you. When you go back and forth, because you break in the camouflage net all the time. But obviously, some maps camouflage net will be better. But in overall sense, this is gonna get more use than the camouflage net. You could also play it blind, remove the optics, put in LNE and have the turbo there, and hopefully you have someone spotting for you. But I don't really like to count that you hope someone's gonna spot for you. I like to spot my own target. For the shells, I go 50-50. I mean, you can go full APCR with the premium APCR or not, but always take some HE with you with this tank. These slow shells, they are underrated. I have plunked out targets here and there. For the consumables, we go with the coffee with cinnamon buns because it's just so good to have that when you have a fika. It means like a break here in Sweden. And then you have a repair and consumables as well. Repair and first aid consumables. One thing that is very big on this tank is that the crew members die very often. Like the commander perish very quickly because it's one of the big weak points of the tank that you want to aim for. And obviously the lower plate here, the driver gets knocked out a lot as well. So your first aid kit is going to get a lot of work. For the field modification, I have not fully upgraded this tank. Have you obviously seen? But we go with the reinforced suspension first and foremost. This is just the best field mod that you have in the tank. It helps you turn quicker, go faster, and you don't get tracked easy. And then next one, we want to have a slightly smaller aim circle if we can get. And then we pick the periscope, right angle periscope. And then we pick scouting on the boost as well for the optics. And this way you can maybe alleviate that you don't need to have recon so quickly, but you must pick situational awareness on the tank there to get full view range. You see, recon only 7 meters while situational awareness is 12 meters plus the view range. But this will help you have full view range without using binoculars. The next one, this is up to you, but I recommend that you pick the reloading speed because a lot of times it's gonna come down to how quickly you're gonna shoot instead of how accurately with this tank. I mean, you do get it down to an 0.25, which is very, very good. But I'm very confident that the faster reload, get it down to the 5 seconds, it's just so good as well. For the last one is pretty much straightforward. More engine power. You want to be quicker. Slightly more acceleration you're going to get out of this, and it's just going to help you in the battlefield. And what we talked about already, the aim time is non-essential. You aim so quick in siege mode, so it doesn't matter. The STRV 103B, or Stridsvagn 103B, as I would say in Swedish. It's kind of a fun tank. If you really like sniping, it's the ultimate tank. It's small, it's nimble, it's quick. It doesn't hamper you. Only hampers you when you want to play that really aggressive role, but it makes it up for it, and then some when it comes to the sniping part. But that's my short little review of the STRV 103B. I hope you liked it, and stay tuned. So I'll see you in the future.